And welcome back to Rendezvous for Beirut. We've been talking to many people, seeing about how our scene has evolved and changed, and the good times, and where we've been since August 4th. And now we're going to talk to promoters. And sitting with me, we have Ralph Nasr of Retrogroove, and also Uberhouse's booking manager, and Elie Kozah, who is the music director and resident DJ at TeknoAnd. Ralph is also a good friend. Both you guys are also DJs. We've partied a lot together. We've swapped sets together, plugged in USBs at the same time without the music cutting. So
Forgot recorders too.
We're good. So Ralph, how did you get started, and what did you do first?
Well, I started as a DJ like many years ago, and back then I got the chance to play at BO18 with Ziad Ghussan and DS Mreb, and then that's how it all started for me. And then from that point on, we started doing more and more projects until we started the Retrogroove brand, which was our baby brand with a few friends. And then I got more and more involved in the scene until I got the job here at Uberhouse.
And I remember the Retrogroove is different than other brands. How does it differentiate?
Well, first it's not that frequent. It's random frequency every 2 months maybe, and it's in moving venues every time. So we never did straight parties in the same venue over. And the system is that it's completely offline. So the promotional system is completely offline, which means you will never see a flyer or a poster online to promote. And the page we have online was never the content is never to sell. That was rule number 1 since the beginning. So
Cognito kind of events, right? It's all cognito. It's all hidden.
Exactly, yeah. So the venues are a bit out of the box. Like it's not you go to a place with a location on Google Maps and you don't know where you're going.
Where are we going?
And then you get there and then you hear the music and you're okay, that's the place. And yeah, so it's pretty special in that sense. But also the music direction is a bit like disco and house, which is slightly off the mainstream trend lately in Beirut, which is why it's differentiated.
And that's why the name Retrogroove is perfect, because it's retro, it's kind of old, and yet it's groove.
Exactly.
I've been to some of the parties as well. It's pretty interesting because most of the people who are at this event are not even born during that era.
The track,
their parents were dancing. Maybe the parents conceived the children on that. Not even. I think the grandparents maybe. But it's really cool because you have a good following, and everything is kept just pretty much directly, right? We don't work with big social media sponsored posts. I don't think we've ever seen anything. We rarely see any stories about that as well. When did it really start to pick up? What was the timing for that? How long ago?
I'd say the one in April from 2019, which is last year, but feels like 5 years ago.
Of course.
So I remember that one was when we really got on the map in terms of the impact we did, and the party was really excellent because the capacity was slightly bigger than what we used to do. So we went one notch bigger, and everything was on point, and the feedback and the venue. And from that point on, every time we did a party was even better and better, until things started.
Before we get to things go bad, let's talk to Elie as well, because Elie is one of the founding partners of TeknoAnd. Is that correct too? And music director, the booker, you have a brother as well. Your brother's also involved. And you're about 4 or 5 of you who run TeknoAnd, and you guys are. What is your brand identity mainly?
First of all, thank you for having us here today and for making this happen.
Of course.
TeknoAnd was formed 4 years ago by a group of young and passionate music lovers who were trying to change the country's perception of electronic music through the sound and energy of techno. For many years, several genres of electronic music have been neglected and overshadowed by the commercial music and parties. So we felt it's a duty for us to make this change and to introduce a new type of music to the Lebanese people, consisting of industrial sounds, hypnotic and dark elements. And that's how TeknoAnd started. Our first event was at BO18 with Echoes of October. It was a huge success for us. It was surprising how many people attended that night and how much people were interested actually in such music. So it was a great success for us at that time.
So over the years, you guys have built up a good network and also expanded. I think the crowd were also quite diverse. You got introduced to new people, new faces. Is that right?
Right. We booked several international artists. We have a great connection with the agents in Europe. We also had a great connection with the artists as well. We had discussions about the scene here and in Europe. And after our success in BO18, several club owners liked the idea of introducing this new type of music to the scene, and they saw our potential, so they wanted to collaborate with us, and we did.
Things started to change in 2019 for everyone here. We're not going to get to August 4th just yet, but how was that? How was the outlook building up to 2019 as you were expanding with you and your partners? What was the outlook for 2020?
So honestly, it was a really difficult and tough time for us and for everyone. Even though there was the huge economic crisis, we booked 2 international artists, which are Headless Horseman in January and I Hate Models in February. We felt that we needed to complete a task, so we risked it actually. And after, but luckily, many people attended both events. But after that, we decided to stop booking international artists and focus on local nights because of the
Travel restrictions.
yeah,
and the
because of the bank
pandemic. Yeah,
restrictions
yeah.
and the bank transfer issue and the high rates. So we decided to stick to local nights and give chances to new faces, to new local talents.
Which is cool because Ralph as well. I think your main base. I think you guys have always been local DJs.
It has
Is that
always
right?
been locals. Yeah, since the first party, and we actually never like announced the lineup ever. Like we send messages to the guests, and like very rarely people ask about the lineup, and we tell them that we can't announce it, and it's always a rotation of our best local talents.
And it's cool because I mean it's more like a picnic type of atmosphere.
exactly.
Sometimes
It's more
daytime
friendly.
with barbecue and hot dogs and
I mean, we never did the hot dogs, but
tacos.
it always had that vibe of like kind of authentic, free, you can do whatever you want kind of party. But about the lineup, that was like one of the main things that I wanted to since day one, because if you get the people used to something and then you switch it, it's gonna be more complicated. So you know what I mean?
Especially for Retrogroove because you guys tend to be good music. It has a certain style, certain sound that works
exactly
for the parties.
I mean, now the whole scene will be affected from this because the big clubs are their value proposition is the big names, and then they compete on getting bigger and bigger names to get more and more people in. So now it's gonna go in the opposite direction.
And end up forgetting all about the locals.
Exactly. Which means we're gonna have to adapt to that.
And that's why it's really cool what TeknoAnd are doing, because you guys do have a strong local techno base, and even some of the industrial techno DJs are very excited because there's finally a chance for them to have a showcase. But building up before August 4th, how did you have to adapt? Because we, apart from the currency crisis we had, the political crisis that we had, then you had the pandemic and the lockdown and the closures. Did you guys still go ahead and try to keep doing some events anyway?
Okay, so as I said earlier, we wanted to stick with local nights because of everything going in the country. When the pandemic started, we decided to respect the COVID-19 restrictions, and we didn't want to risk people's lives. So we didn't host any party. We didn't even celebrate our 4th anniversary.
Yeah.
So we took a break and waited for things to get better.
So at the moment, the whole summer, there's been no events for you guys whatsoever.
Our plans,
I know you had some planned,
yeah,
but
our plans were on hold. We joined ELD's live stream event, which was for a good cause, and that was it. We had our plans on hold. No parties, no nothing. Just to keep everyone safe,
And Ralph, and for you guys as well, I think you guys took a different approach.
Yeah, we actually took a slightly different approach, like a bit more risky. But I mean, the first thing we did was, I think in early April, was because it was our anniversary in the earlier part of April. We did a live stream, but also a fundraiser, which was like before the ELD, a few weeks before that. Ronan and I, we played a live stream on Instagram, and we put a link for donation for food boxes to families in need. So this was kind of a digital event that we did. It was really nice as well. And then after that, when they removed the lockdown, I think it was early June, around late June, we did a outdoor party during the daytime in Babdet, which was very like small capacity. There was 100 people maximum, and since it's very friendly, we know everyone. We made sure that everyone was aware of the situation, the context of being COVID friendly and all of that. So it went really, really well. And we stopped the music around 10 p.m. or 11 p.m., which was relatively early, and we're
Have to follow the guidelines, right?
exactly. No, but I mean, it's even like it's fresher to have a party during the day, which was we were not used to that in Lebanon. So and we did a second one in July in Amshit at the beach, at the shore, which was also daytime, and we stopped at 10, which was slightly bigger because I felt like people were more like because the system is that we invite someone and then that person invites his entourage and then he adds the names. And then at that one, you had everyone adding names, and we're like, okay, it seems like people don't really care, you know. But we also made sure that, you know, like checking temperature.
Follow the guidelines and temperature.
Yeah, and then it went really well as well. And then we went into a second lockdown after that, which
and we
you know the rest.
We were all into a second lockdown slightly before August 4th. And what changed for you guys on August 4th? Apart from the financial, the crisis, the pandemic, it was just one thing after another. And then August 4th came around and the dreams.
Okay, so the huge Beirut explosion actually led us to join new live streams that are coming up next month with the factory people and the LD2 in December. So our plans were still on hold. So we're just gonna join now 2 live streams, which are actually fundraising events. And that's it for now.
Do you have anybody who's, you know, from some of the following that you guys have created over the years, begging for something? Because a lot of people say that, you know, when you're in tough times like this, you know, you need a relief of some sort. You need a major relief of stress. And, you know, whether it be Retrogroove, which is all happy and jolly and colorful, or, you know, straight up industrial techno. No one's ever asked for you guys to please put on an event. We need one badly.
Yeah, we had these people like begging us to make such events, but it's impossible, man. We wanted to respect the restrictions, the COVID-19 restrictions. That's it. We don't want people to risk it in our parties. We just want people to be safe. We don't want to risk anyone's life. You know, we didn't even celebrate our 4th anniversary.
Yeah, you skipped it.
Yeah. So.
All right. Well, if we're looking at where we are now, you know, we're reaching the end of September. It's been almost 2 months since that August 4th blast. Ralph, you know, it's been rough for us all. A lot of us who, you know, we talk a lot to each other. We haven't really spoken much in the last month and a half because I guess there's no words to be said.
Definitely.
Where do you see us moving on from here? Where do you see as promoters, you know, the next step to kind of, you know, finding a way of recovery of any sort?
Well, I mean, it's a very tough question.
Yeah.
That's to start with. But I mean, things will pick up again, but obviously very slowly. But first, there will be no more international DJs, I guess, because of the currency crisis. And then we have to take time to rebuild the clubs and, you know, like the houses and everything until we can do parties again. But I also feel that people are still not there mentally. Like, it's going to take some time psychologically for people to be able to, I mean, I started myself. I'm not even in the mood to party or to play, you know what I mean? Like, I feel distant a little bit. Like, I honestly don't see how it's going to go. But it will come back.
If we talk to each other now as DJs, because we're all technically DJs too, personally, from my experience, it's been hard to even go through, you know, the Monday morning promos, you know, the 150 tracks, and even try to select.
I've stopped.
You're having that trouble too, huh?
Yeah, I've deconnected for a whole month. I've removed all my social medias and, like, you know, searching for music for a whole month. I went to the mountain just to, you know, to recover mentally. I started working with a friend in his warehouse, like just doing basic stuff just to
get over it, overcome.
Exactly.
Yeah,
like that was my process, but I mean, to each his own, you know.
And Elie, same thing for you as well, right? I mean,
yeah.
I don't know if industrial techno can still work in these dark times, but
funnily enough, their vibe and even though the music is industrial, their vibe was always friendly.
Yeah.
Like, it's really good to be at their parties. I remember because when I used to be the booker at BO18, they were the only ones that used to nail the parties there with their own clientele, you know what I mean? Like, they had their own crowd. Like, even if the club was empty week over week, and then they would come over and they would do something
full night.
amazing.
They knew exactly what they were doing. They were coming to fish, as we say in Arabic, which is relieving the stress, more or less, right? Like letting off steam.
Exactly.
More or less. So as well, has it been hard for you music-wise as well?
Yeah, music-wise, I've been actually focusing on my music productions. That's it mainly. Yeah, I'm focusing on my music productions. I'm working on an EP, and that's it. Studio at home, working on music. listening to new music sometimes, recording podcasts. Yeah, that's it.
Coming up with different ideas
Yeah.
as well. Because
But our sounds are not mainly industrial, not only industrial. They consist of
I thought of Headless Horseman.
yeah. So our sounds consist, as I said before, of hypnotic and dark sounds, industrial, acidic. It could be melodic, but mainly
Floor stomping.
Yeah.
We're coming to dance.
yeah. We have more like hardcore sounds also. Yeah.
Which is also underground, which is, you know, similarly, we have the same philosophy of underground music, but just different genres. But it's by definition underground because it's not what you listen to like
Every
on a
day,
day-to-day basis. Yeah, I mean, even in the disco and house that we used to play, always, you know,
Try to
push
back
for
away, take
something.
a step back. Yeah.
Yeah, but push for something that is not like, you know, like
Not expected.
exactly.
Yeah. And that's what's good about you guys doing as promoters, because I've seen several promoters come and go. I've been DJing since before you guys, I think we were alive, and there were so many promoters here in the 90s, and their goal in the 90s when Beirut didn't have any clubs was to do these big events at old bombed out movie theaters that were untouched, you know, from 1975,
Yeah.
we're talking like 93 and 94. And their objective at the time was to unite the country because the country was so divided. You know, you had the East versus the West. Very different from where we are now, but just another reiteration. We're more divided now, more pizza slices. And so their objective was always to unite people. And over time, most of them ended up giving up because they realized that, oh, the country wasn't helping us. We didn't have support from the government. The sponsors dropped out. I guess with your perspective, it's very different because you're not dependent on sponsors who are able to pay anymore. So you really have to cover everything within the crowd. Is that right? And
That's
Ralph
true.
as well. I think
Yeah,
you guys
exactly.
do tickets.
Like, yeah, like the first events we did, most of them we just broke even. You know, we never made a lot of money. Like only 2 or 3 events that were like big success in key dates of the year, like in Christmas because there's more people. We did some money, but we never made that much money. You know, I never lived from that directly.
Yeah.
I lived from my job and my DJ gigs, but this was more of a passion project. It still is, you know. So, I mean, I accepted the fact that since this is not a money-making machine, like, let's just keep it as a niche project. And that's
let it
how we went
happen.
on with it, yeah.
Yeah, because I think nowadays, I mean, on a global scale, it's just very hard for, you know, clubs to continue. You know, people have to adapt. But there's a lot of us that miss, and I'm sure you guys have good memories of good times and these great events that you guys have done.
Yes.
And now you're thinking, okay, well, how can we try to revive this from this point onwards? Do you have any plans for recovery, if any?
Well, actually, I think we are in a tough position right now. You know, in this country, you don't know what's coming next.
Exactly.
So every while there's a new event that ruins everything. So actually, I think everything is on hold for now.
Yeah.
Our plans are on hold. We are just gonna wait and see what will happen next. Be patient, and we promise people that when everything's sorted out, that we're coming back stronger than ever, and that techno will never die here in the country.
Yeah,
Never has.
electronic music in general, but I mean, it's, as you said, it's very difficult to try to see in the future or anticipate, which is basically what we have to do as promoters. We plan, you know, we plan a strategy, whatever it is, we plan. But now you can't plan anything, so
Right.
you just don't.
Blurred
anticipate.
vision, right?
Yeah,
It's just
you can't plan ahead. You know, you can't plan.
So this is the toughest part. I mean, from a maybe psychological point of view, because you're fighting against the current. But I mean, now since we accepted to, you know, slow down a little bit, just take a step back. I mean, we have to start building again, as you said in the first interview, like maybe start from scratch or something like that. Otherwise, I mean, we just give up.
there's
I
no
don't know,
point,
yeah.
right?
You know.
I'm sure you guys have, you know, you already graduated college years ago. Do you have a lot of friends who've left the country? Where are they? What are they doing?
Yeah, a lot of friends actually.
Yeah,
This is
same.
an
Everyone's
ongoing
leaving.
wave. Yeah.
Actually, the other half of Retrogroove, which is Sama Baidoun, my partner, she's the creative design content leader. She's going for a master's in France, although she did not initially wanted to, but she told me like I have no choice, and then she's going there. But which is probably nice to do some connections here and there, because we actually wanted to export the project somehow, and yeah, so I'm left here with the
Just with the mess that we're in,
so
right?
that's it basically.
Yeah, it's really tough for us all. You know, thinking about where we've been, what we were able to do, and especially because you guys have a lot of potential. You know, where you could have continued, maybe not expanded too much, considering the financial problems that we had. But along came August 4th, and it just kind of wiped out everything. Apart from the venues like the one that we're sitting under, you know, being so close, you know, to the epicenter of this giant blast, and we still have unanswered questions to that.
Crazy.
And some people want to rebuild, but they're also considering the fact that what's the point of rebuilding if people won't come? And for promoters, your number one thing is, you know, if you promote it, they will come. Is that right?
Some people are still, you know, affected, like they are afraid. They just don't want to rebuild because they're afraid something might happen again, which is understandable. Like as you said, it can get worse. It can always get worse. Like we had the currency crisis, the political turmoil, and then the corona, and the restrictions, and then the explosion, and then, you know, like it's crazy.
There are always surprises. You don't know what's coming next. So
It's a nation full of surprises, and you know, just the other week, you know, there was some smoke coming out of the port, and everyone freaked out. So this nightmare is a living nightmare that we're kind of stuck in, and we can't seem to break out of it in any way possible.
It's true.
And you know, and from you guys as promoters, you know, I'm very hopeful that, you know, there is some way of at least finding some hope, but you know, it's just very hard for everyone.
Yeah, I mean, we just have to get over a bit, like the past, you know, incidents slowly, which is fair enough for everyone, is their own pace. But obviously the corona issue is the main component because we can't gather people together, and I mean, all of our work comes from gathering people under one roof.
And you've had people together, and you guys have done health checks, and no one ever got sick.
Yeah,
Is that right?
exactly. So now, I mean, if corona gets a little bit easier on everyone, we can start doing small events until we gradually build up to what we had initially. But again, you still have the international DJs problem, the currency. I mean, the alcohol price went 4 times, like it doubled, tripled. Like it's crazy. Like there are constraints coming up from everywhere. So as promoters, we have to face these challenges,
which are very tough.
Yeah, exactly.
It's very tough, right? Elie, even for you guys. Elie and I have done some events at Frozen Cherry. We actually, all three of us were there several times. It was right before the first lockdown came in, and you know, we're talking.
It was in March 8th, I think.
Yeah, Icebreaker.
Exactly, that was great.
2,000 people.
March 8th,
March 8th or 9th, 2,000 people. You know, there was still people who were saying, you know, even if there's a ticket, even if it's a long drive, we would still make it all the way there, up until the lockdowns came in and changed things. So like you're saying, it's 2 factors that we're dealing with here. One is atmosphere, and the second one is health. So we have to really find any kind of relief from either of the two, even if it's small percentage though. But are you guys still motivated? Would you still want to come back and do events in the future?
Of course. If everything's sorted out, we're ready. We just want people to know that we're here.
And ready to rock it. Same thing with you, Ralph, right?
I mean, right now I'm not ready, but I will be. I know. Like,
you've had it harder than other
downs.
people. And Ronan, Ronan, his own partner as well.
I mean, his
terrible. House was right there on that front line.
Yeah, and everything, like the whole, like him and I went to Spain at the end of February for some gigs, which was great. Like it was the first time we do a tour outside of Lebanon. And then the week when we came back to Lebanon, they announced the lockdown. And then everything started to go downhill from there. So it was really intense for us all to take in. And then obviously the explosion was as you said, it wiped out our dreams and our houses.
Yeah, it's true. I just saw you guys up in Faytru, and I think it was the weekend before. It was a random Sunday between these beautiful rocks, and it was groovy music, and he's got a Condesa Carmen, so he was fooling around with that beautiful rotary mixer made in Australia. Mehdi's mixers. And even seeing that, like there was still, you know, some hope, you know, that we can still do gigs, even if it's on a much smaller scale. There's still a group of people that need this.
We were still happy to see each other after such a long time, and then it started to, and then...
The ultimates. I think it was the same thing with TeknoAnd. Well, your last event was back in March as well, or February?
February. With AHM models, yeah. It was our last event in NGOs.
That was in the Uberhaus winter venue, is that correct? The Masoud building.
Right.
Yeah, the NGOs.
Yeah, I hope we have some footage of that as well, because the devastation of where that location was the other side of the silo, and that side of the silo got more of an intense pressure wave than we did here. Here we're actually kind of protected by the silo itself, but I mean, looking around, still pretty bad considering that the structures are there. So the last event was back in February, and I'm sure you guys had several plans leading up. How did you manage to put them on hold or cancel them, or just say, we'll wait for the next one, we'll wait for the next one? And
As I said earlier, after I Hate Models, after the last event, we decided to stick with local nights because of the bank restrictions and the bank transfer issue. So we decided to stick with local nights and give chances to new local talents. But then the pandemic started. So then we wanted to respect the COVID-19 restrictions. So our plans were on hold again.
Here we are. We're
and
still
then
on
August 4 happened. So our only hope now is just to make or join live stream events to help the people affected in Beirut.
It's true, and that's what we're here doing. Rendezvous Beirut. You know, we really have to explain ourselves. You know, apart from doing, you know, there's been several fundraisers which are beautiful out there, but no one's really delving into the serious issues. I mean, you can read stuff online. You know, you can go down and find your own little research, but nothing beats, you know, us being able to sit together and really talk about this. And I'm glad that we did this here rather than doing it on the phone, because we would have just been cursing and, oh my God, what are we doing with our lives from this point onwards? So, you know, we really are hopeful that there could be some relief, because a lot of people don't understand how many hits we've been taking here in Lebanon over the last 25 years, you know, apart from having good waves and bad waves, and we've reached a point now where it looks kind of hopeless. But, do you have any hope? Do you have
I mean,
any?
someone has to rebuild the scene and the country in general, and it has to be us. I mean, there's no one else.
You're not going nowhere.
I mean, so far, no.
What about you, Elie?
Same here. I'm stuck here right now.
I mean, I've thought about it, to be honest. I've really thought about it. But I mean, the COVID, you know, consequences in Europe are
even worse.
Somehow worse than here for the economy, and people are getting fired and everything.
And even the bank transfer issues.
Yeah, exactly. Also the fresh money thing. Like, even if I want to do like a master's or an MBA or specialization,
your money's trapped at the bank here.
I mean, exactly. That's also a big pain in the ass. So since we're here, might as well.
Yeah, I think we're here to support each other. Yeah,
that's right. I believe there's more unity among all promoters. Well, the promoters that managed to stay in the country for now.
Yeah, that's true.
There's a lot of good talent here
although
as well.
just to mention that even before that, like the past year was great because all the promoters started working together and uniting. Like I felt that 2019 was the year where everybody started to get a bit on the same page, which was great.
That's right. Less division, more unity, right?
Yeah.
Can only hope for more positivity coming out of all this, brothers. Really, really hope you guys, the promoters, all your team, you know, we really, really hope that maybe 2021, you know, maybe we can find some relief of some sort, you know. But big up to you guys for keeping it, believing in it, knowing that there's going to be, you know, we're probably at rock bottom at the moment. But you know, if we hang on there, you know, for I don't know, a few more months, hopefully there'll be some kind of recovery in the next year or so, right?
Hopefully.
Ralph
thanks
and
a lot,
Elie, I really appreciate it, guys.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming. And Rendezvous Beirut really thanks you guys as well for all your insight.
Cheers.
Cheers, brothers.
Cheers.
All right.